Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. CNN's chief data analyst, Harry Enton, is back. In other words, the CNN numbers guy is back, and you know exactly what that means, right? It means that another leftist narrative is likely to implode on CNN, on the Clinton News Network, to the utter shock and dismay of the network's leftist viewers. In other words, it's another shocking moment on CNN where the hosts act all flustered and surprised. Oh, I can't believe it. With many of the viewers probably having a similar reaction. And meanwhile, us sitting back, for the rest of us, it's just cold, hard confirmation of what we already knew, what we already expected. All the talk, all the hysteria, all the hyperbole surrounding this administration's real, hasty start to the season is pretty much all falling in vain. The Democrats tried to fabricate faux outrage, but the numbers keep coming in and telling a very different story. We're talking about Donald Trump and Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency once again. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so I pretty much laid out the initial context. Let's just go ahead and give it to Harry Enton and his co-host here and see what they had to say.
This, to me, was one of the more shocking figures that I saw. Made me go, wait a minute, hold on one second. Whoa, Americans on Trump and Joe's efforts. Musk and DOGE should influence government spending and operations. Look at this. 54%. The majority say that he and they should. How about approve of Trump trying to cut staff at government agencies? Again, you get a majority here. 51%. So yeah, Elon Musk might not be that popular, but these cuts and the idea of spending cuts, at least within the federal government and cutting at government agencies, that actually has majority support. I was truly surprised by this, Kate, but the numbers are the numbers.
Well, there is a view that cuts across Democrat and Republican of people thinking that Washington is too big, bloated federal government, waste, fraud, and abuse. Those are drain the swamp is what people run on over and over again. How do they feel? What do they think they're actually cutting?
Yeah, what do they think they're actually cutting? Democrats want to argue that the type of spending that Musk is cutting is mainly necessary programs, but that comes in at just 36%. The wasteful spending actually wins the plurality here at 42%, according to a recent Washington Post Ipsos poll. And I think that is the reason why you see that when it comes to Musk and DOGE, you see, in fact, the majority believe he should have some influence because they believe, the plurality believe, that he is cutting wasteful spending, not necessary programs that Democrats are arguing.
Tomato, tomato. I do like Dusk and Moj, though. I think we need to keep that around. But the definition of wasteful is, I think, what is really starting to come into play.
Correct.
What people, necessary to one is wasteful to another. We are seeing that and finding that. How are Americans feeling about the size of the government?
Yeah, so what is exactly going on here? What is sort of driving these numbers underneath? Government is doing too much or too little. Back in 2020, when Trump lost re-election, 54% said too little. By the time he won re-election in 2024, look at that. Too much won the majority at 55%. It was the inverse. So I think there's this real push from the American public to want spending at the U.S. government to drop. And I think that's part of the reason why they're giving Musk and DOGE that majority, at least at this point, when it comes to his influence over federal government
They're giving
spending.
him running room on this, but that's why I think these numbers show why transparency and what is actually being done and why the problems of they've made mistakes and putting things up on their wall of receipts that didn't actually happen or not, why that is so important and critical.
I think that's exactly right. We'll have to wait and see what happens. What's popular one moment may not be the next. We'll see.
So there you have it. The numbers pretty much speak for themselves. 54% say that Musk and DOGE should influence government spending. And even Harry Enton wasn't expecting that because a couple weeks ago, he was telling us that Elon Musk was deeply unpopular, right? And nobody supported him having a key role in the government. Remember that clip?
The American people did not sign up for this. They voted in Donald Trump. They did not vote in Elon Musk, a key role for Musk and Trump's administration. You see this 39% support, 53%, the clear majority opposed. They don't want this. The American people don't want this.
They were pushing a narrative back then that nobody wants Elon Musk. He's an unelected billionaire who shouldn't be involved in any of this stuff. And they had one poll to back up that worldview. Well, now how many polls do we have showing majority support for Elon Musk? And this 54% number, by the way, is actually considerably low. Although I guess it does fall in line with some of the 60% polls that we've seen the moment you invoke Elon Musk's name specifically. But the left has been fear-mongering with the name Elon. Elon's got his grubby hands all over your private data. He's going to steal your grandmother's social security check. Of course, as we know, when you take Elon Musk's name out of the equation, out of the question, out of the survey, well, then all of a sudden, support for what he's actually doing shoots up into the 70s and sometimes 80s. The fact of the matter is, DOGE is popular, and the American people are done with a bloated, corrupt government that is wasting money. And here's where it gets real interesting. Only 36% of people say government programs are necessary, while 42% say that they're wasteful. People are starting to wake up and they're realizing something they probably should have realized a long time ago, that government at large, as a concept, sucks. They're not good at spending your money and they're not good at rendering service. So what is the purpose? Not to mention how much money's being funneled, siphoned, being spent on useless regulations, studies, paper pushing. Hello, government. I need you to move this boulder. All right, well, before we do that, we're going to have to get permits. We're going to have to do a study. We're going to have to procure the equipment at 3 times the cost for no reason. Then we're going to have to go through many different checks, and the file's going to have to go on 17 different desks, and all those 17 departments are all going to have to sign off, and if one person disagrees, well, we're going to have to restart the process. Yet no wonder nothing gets done. Government is the enemy of productivity, and people are waking up, and all it took was a little bit of exposure. And that, I think, is a big reason why I think these numbers are really shooting up here, because at first they were asking vague questions, it was early polling data, Elon hadn't even really started doing his job, but at this point, we've all seen the headlines, we've all seen what's been exposed. We've been exposed to the truth, and now people are waking up like never before and realizing, whoa, my tax dollars are being spent on what? $2 billion for Stacey Abrams. Wait, what? $1 billion a year for an empty migrant shelter? Just for the purposes of readiness? What does that even mean? Millions of dollars being sent over to a British academic teaching Afghani women about degenerate modern French art? How about no? And so it's all falling apart. And now we're seeing a full-blown rejection of pretty much everything the left stands for. But most importantly, we are seeing a rejection of big government. People want a reduced state. They want the power back in the hands of the people. They want individuals to be in charge of their own lives. And that, my friends, is a clear trend. We've seen the data, not just on support of DOGE, but in terms of the public's view on governance. A large majority of people surveyed want smaller government rather than bigger. We covered that just the other day. And so clearly, the country is headed in the right direction, and this administration is fulfilling the mandate that was bestowed upon them. And that's another thing that Democrats pretend isn't happening. There's no mandate. Everything's going horribly wrong. People are having buyer's remorse, right? I keep hearing that from all these leftoids. Actually, what's his face? Totally discredited pollster Alan Lichtman just said the same thing the other day on a Zoom call.
Lots of Trump voters are reporting buyer's remorse, saying, we didn't vote for this. Oh, yes, you did. You were repeatedly warned that Trump would follow precisely this course according to Project 2025. Now remorse is spreading to the broader American public. In the latest poll, Trump's approval rating is down to 44%, with 51% disapproval. That's the worst of any post-war American president, except for Donald Trump in his first term.
Trump supporters are having buyer's remorse. Yeah, not so sure about that one. In fact, I think the exact opposite is happening. According to the Post-Millennial, 60% of voters under 40 approve of Trump's job performance. That's according to a Rasmussen poll. So clearly young people who have a stake in the future think the country's headed towards the right direction. That's an important thing, right? And this poll didn't just poll young people. Just on the issue of right track, wrong track, the numbers are great. I mean, well, they're not historically great, but they're improving compared to the last administration. More voters in the youngest age grouping also said that the country was heading in the right direction as compared to their two older counterparts, with 54% of the 18 to 39 age bracket responding as such. In the 40 to 64 age group, 41% said the country was going in the right direction, and in the 65 and older generation, 42% said the country was on the right track. Those are pretty good numbers. It's also more statistical proof that Gen Z is likely going to be the most conservative generation of all time, which is really interesting to think about moving forward into these next election cycles. But again, anywhere from 40 to 54% right track, wrong track, That's a huge improvement, because keep in mind where we were not so long ago with Joe Biden.
Voters are just plain frustrated across the board. 76% of adults in this poll say the country is headed in the wrong direction. Only 23%, less than a quarter of the country, say that we're headed on the right track. And the issues that are animating voters' frustration, it's almost unspeakably vast and broad. Economy, 74% of Americans say it's very important to them personally. 69% say the same about inflation. Those are issues in our poll that tend to favor Republicans. Voters say they trust Republicans more than Democrats on those issues.
You know, is it the most bullish view you've ever seen? No, of course not. But the country is the most divided I think it's been probably ever. You know, Donald Trump is a controversial figure, whatever that freaking means. And so you're likely never going to see George W. Bush numbers after the 9/11 attacks, or John F. Kennedy numbers, Dwight Eisenhower numbers, Barack Obama numbers during the peak of their careers, where the environment was set as such where the whole country practically was behind them. But nonetheless, majority approval, significant move in the right direction, clearly visible in the polling data, and all the while the Democrats are screaming as if the frickin' sky is falling. Not happening, fake news, another narrative bust. Thank you, CNN, for another fantastic presentation. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.